Kia ora. My name's Michaela, and this is a book that I wrote when I was 16. This is a multiple part series. Today I'll be reading chapter 2, and I'm reading it to figure out whether it's cringe or creative, because I've not read it since I wrote it, or maybe a couple of years after that. So, yeah, have a listen, go check out part 1 and part 2 before you check out this one, and then comment below what you thought, cringe or creative. Let's get into it. Chapter 2. The Toaster 2. My body awakened with all my senses tingling. The atmosphere around me was humid and rich. Another morning, I thought to myself as I opened my eyes to experience the familiar surroundings of my bed chamber. The ceilings were a sandy texture, and the sunlight was shimmering on my sheets like the light that came from the stars. A light breeze flowed through my open window and through my hair. It was thickly curled down and around my neck, brushing at my cheeks as I sat up to stretch. The bedding I was lying on was unbelievably soft and warm, especially on one side. I smiled as I started to remember the night's events. I sat up straight and slid to the side of the bed, letting my legs hang over until my feet touched the warm floor. My hand brushed against the sheets, gathering the last of the warmth that rested in the pillow. My feet followed the stream of light on the ground until I was standing in front of my window, looking out onto the world. I stared out through the open window where an untouched blue sky hung over the soft bustling city of Masjid Sulaiman. Persia was so beautiful in the spring. I lifted my robe off a golden hook where it hung and wrapped it around me. I traced my fingers along the heavy golden necklace that hung at my neck. It held a promise. My index finger circled the grooves that made up the image of two tigers interwoven within each other. Each neck curled into the hollow of the other. They were one being. That was me and my love. If I was alone, I was missing half of me. I was not whole. Something was missing. My head whipped around at the sound of screams and clattering. It was coming from the hallway leading to my bedroom. Someone was coming. My heart began to beat erratically as his footsteps stomped closer and closer down the hallway to my chambers. His voice was booming. He was shouting at my maids as they got in his way. I could have recognized my father's voice at any pitch, and this was the one I had always avoided. If you were wise, you never got my father angry, ever. My heart stopped beating altogether as the shadows of his feet grew from under the space beneath my door. The door handle turned violently, letting the room fill with outside light as the door rushed open. My breathing had elevated. I felt faint. The door opened to reveal the enraged figure of my father standing in the doorway, and I watched, terrified. I couldn't move from my spot. His long greasy hair hung down past his ears and touched his long braided black beard, which twitched in outrage. His eyes were ripping through me with so much force. I watched his long robe sway violently as he pointed at me, his arms flapping wildly as he gestured. He was not speaking English, yet I knew what he was saying. His tongue purred around the letter R, and he spoke with grace and sophistication. He was speaking Persian, my native tongue. Why did the gods give me such a stubborn, disobedient child? What did I do to deserve this? To be given a lying daughter and not a faithful son. He marched at me as my heart beat faster and faster. I was not speaking, for I had no explanation. There was nothing I could say to resolve his fury. Besides, it was not me I was scared for. Something else was at stake here, or should I say, someone. You were just like your mother, evil and conniving, he was seething. She has seeped into your mind, plotting to destroy me, and now I will be the one to pay for your stupidity. He paused, glaring at my necklace as I clutched it tightly. The jagged edges of his eyes spelled my doom before I could hear it from his mouth, making me shake in trepidation. The jagged edges of his eyes spelled my doom before I could hear it from his mouth, making me shake in trepidation. If I had not feared him before, then I definitely feared him now, as he spat out his next words. No. His voice boomed at me. It would be who will pay. It won't be me who will pay for this. It will be him. The one who stole from me. The one who was not his the the one who was not his to take. Sorry, there's some spelling issues. Or repeated words for some reason. I would see that a plan was forming in his mind. The expression he now held was a look I had met before. It was a look of greed for power over me, over him. He lived for power. I watched as his eyes leave the room, just as abruptly as he had entered it. I watched as his eyes gave over to these new thoughts, no longer aware of me. He turned to leave the room just as abruptly as he had entered it, running after him. My mind searched for an excuse, something to stop the plan he was now about to implement. Grabbing his robe and slowing him to a stop, I pleaded with my eyes before I spoke. My father, he is your strongest soldier, I screamed, almost hysterical. My tongue curled perfectly with the language. It was surprising. However, the response seemed to move no emotion within him. He stopped in his path, his expression unchanged, turning to me with a look even more menacing than before. I was tugging at his arm, helpless, pleading with him again and again, begging on my knees. I had always sworn never to do this, having seen the pathetic nature of those who gave my father power over them by begging him. He had never deserved power, and I had sworn never to give it to him, especially not over me. He has taken something that doesn't belong to him, the only heir I had left to my throne, and now you have given him your hand illegitimately, and without my permission. You are merely a soldier's wife. To me you are no longer my daughter, but a common whore, and he shall be punished for his crimes, and I assure you I will not be merciful, he spat. I wailed, understanding his words perfectly. My father had killed before, for less reason than he did now. No, I screamed at him. I must have looked so pathetic. Tears sliding down my face as I imagined what punishment he would put my love through. My frustration grew with the image in my head. It was automatic anger. I would hate any man who would even think of destroying my heart. My fingers now curled into the hollow of his arm, my fingernails digging in deep. He reacted to this new motion by escaping my grasp and shaking me off like a bug. His face held a look of the utmost disgust. His next motion seemed to happen too fast for me to react. I blinked too long to see him lift his hand. He did not see it rush towards my cheek. I did not see it rush towards my cheek, but I certainly did feel it. Like an electric shock, it burnt my face almost immediately, my eyes snapping shut in shock. Falling back, I rested my hand tenderly across my hot cheek. Tears blurred my vision as he stalked away from me. His cream and gold robes flowed gracefully behind him. He looked like a vulture stalking its prey. Hands gathered around, fussing over me, my maids having recovered from my father's attack. Their obsequious apologies were circling my ears. I pushed their hands away forcefully and ran back to my bedroom chamber, slamming the door behind me so that no one could see me break down. I leant back on the door, my knees buckling under me. My body slid down it slowly, and I landed on the floor with a thud. I felt myself begin to sob and began to get more and more uncontrollable. The self-loathing was setting in anyway. How could I be so undeniably thoughtless? I pulled someone into a battle when it was not his battle to fight. And all for what? My own desires? Now it would not be me to pay, but instead an innocent man. It wasn't fair that he was going to be killed when it was entirely my fault. If that was true, then all was not right in the world. He was my rock, the one who kept me honest, the one who kept me sane, reminding me of what was important. The one who would have told me no if I had let him. I knew he could not deny me of anything, just like I could not deny him. And I had used this knowledge for my own selfish advantage. He would be killed by my own cowardly father just because he loved me too much to deny me of what I wanted. Life was made up of moments. I had caused this to happen entirely just so I could have that one moment with him. I was so lost in my own hysteria that I did not hear a large knock echo at my door until it had pounded against my head for the third time. "Leave me!" I screamed through the broken sobs. I wanted to wallow in my own self-revulsion. Why couldn't they comprehend that? And then the sweetest voice I had ever heard rang through my ears and touched my heart. "I can never do that," was all he said. It was enough for me to want more of that graceful, deep voice that never failed to make my heart go wild and my head spin. I shot up and unbolted the door with the rush of adrenaline pumping through my veins. He strode in quickly, and soon I was in his arms, inhaling his intoxicating scent, letting my face rest in his warm skin. It felt so comforting against my burning hot cheek. Tears ran wildly down my cheeks and onto his open cloth shirt. My uncontrollable sobs stammered as I took in quick, rushed breaths. He wrapped his arms around my waist, resting his chin on the top of my head. "Shush," he soothed. "It's all right. I'm here now. I won't let anything happen to you. I love you." "Why? Why do you love me? When I put you in so much danger," I mumbled back to him, in between sobs. "Danger is nothing to me if it keeps you safe," he tried to convince me. His hands broke my hold of him as he pushed away in order to see my face. I yearned to be in his arms again the moment he did this, but he was so beautiful it was hard not to gaze either. I was completely torn. His tan face was framed with long dark hair. I gazed into his green-brown eyes that shone with so much warmth and love, it seemed hard to believe. The edges of his mouth pulled up, revealing a striking grin that I had always adored. His teeth were so perfectly straight. His breath wavered as I felt it drift over my face. I could taste his scent on my tongue if I let my lips part. I wonder if anyone could feel this much love for another human being as I did him. "But he will kill you. I must leave," I pleaded with him, immediately contradicting myself by pulling him closer to me, holding him more tightly than ever before. "And it's because of my own lack of self-control," I finished, saying this slightly muffled into his chest. "No, Atosa," he said my name with so much protectiveness. I felt proud to hear it, let alone know it was mine. "This was not your fault. We should have waited, yes, but I'm glad we did not, because he would have eventually found out anyway and killed me before I had the chance to marry you. I never would have been that close to you, and you wouldn't have known just how much I love you." Oh my God, I forgot that I made up this character's name. So I have to try to remember how I was going to pronounce it. Okay. Dumb bitch, honestly. Ozelio. I sighed, not letting this seep into me. "It doesn't matter now. You must leave before he kills you, before he kills both of us." My voice was climbing higher and higher with my urgency to get him away. "I would rather die than leave you." As his rough voice said this, he lifted my head up to his, pushing my chin with his finger. I had no time to retort. All I could think of were his words ringing in my head, and how ironic it would be soon enough. His lips touched mine, and he kissed me passionately. My lips moved against his as more and more tears streamed down my face. He was going to die because he refused to leave me here alone. I could not make him go, and yet I could not let him stay. This thought brought with it the most pain and helplessness that I could ever feel. All I could do was hold him to me a moment longer. I didn't want this moment to change as I knew it would. This was one moment in life I wanted to stay in. All I could do was move my lips against feeling his hot breath intertwine with mine. All I could do was drift into this last moment I had with him. My love for him was worth this. It was worth dying for. I could feel how he felt. It was not about logic or sense, it was about love, longing, and I hoped to never lose that. If I lost him, yes, I would be saved, but inside I would be dead. I would rather die and have him live, have him feel, maybe be happy again. I would die to save him, and that is what I would do. He thought he would die protecting me. It was how it always went. Men had the honour of dying for the women, but not this man. I wished I could sacrifice my own soul so that his would not leave this world. I wanted him to never feel pain again. I wished he would never die, but live instead. My mind was made up. I would not change it. Everything started to fog as I clutched him to me for a minute longer. I could hear him coming for us. Their footsteps marched down the stone flooring towards my bedroom door. I was not crying because he would leave me. I was crying because I was leaving him. And I knew that even if he wasn't dead, to me he would have lost his whole world. And it would be my fault. My only hope was that he would one day forgive me and be happy again. One day. The door wrenched open, and I placed myself between him and them. Here I was, in front of my father's soldiers, protecting a warrior. They knew my stubborn nature. They knew I would not back down. You will not kill him, I stated to them, and I felt an eerie calm echo inside me. It was indescribable, and I felt it immerse the air around me like a bubble. It was as if my own words created a shield for him. All I knew was that it was his shield, and he would not die today. I felt totally indestructible. They told me to move out of the way, but I would not. I told them to leave. They would not. An impasse set in to create a war. There was 3 of them, and they all attacked at once. Their spears pierced into my skin, cleaving a wound that stretched across my abdomen. The pain ripped through my whole body until it reached my head, making it black out completely. I let out a blood-curdling scream that did not feel like my own. I did not want to give up, I told myself. I am strong. I heard him scream in agony behind me. Before I knew it, I had fallen to my knees, pulling out one of the spears from my abdomen and plunging it into one of the warriors. He fell back, and his face was struck with horror as I watched him go down with me. It did not hurt when I killed him, just like the pain had numbed me once. It had reached my head. I felt nothing. I had a purpose, and I was fulfilling it. My head was clear as I pulled out the other spears. I couldn't hold them for long. My fingers did not listen to my brain any longer. All the movement of muscle was shut off, and I felt myself drift as Ozilio slashed his sword through the other 2 men without hesitation. I could feel the anger in him as he struck. My eyes were closed. I could not see. A warm liquid pulled around me, and I was being swallowed into the darkness. The moment was the last. My life was ending. I knew all of this and was letting it all go. But something else, on the other hand, was not. I held on to my heart's faint beating for a little longer and focusing on my mouth, breathing my last breath, saying my last words. I'll be there with you as long as you keep running, I whispered to him. As long as you keep living. My voice trailed off with my last word, my body letting go. I was drifting away from life. His hands were holding my head up. his face buried in the hollow of my neck. He lifted it up to meet my last glance. He was crying, screaming at me not to leave him, but I had to. Toro dos daram were the last words to him. Were my last words to him. I didn't hear him promise me. I didn't hear him tell me he loved me too. I did not hear a thing. There was only nothing, just the darkness, and I felt it suffocating. End of chapter 2. A cheery end. Are you confused? You might be confused. Why would I bring in completely different, what seems like main characters in chapter 2? It's very confusing. I understand. Stick with it. What can I say without spoiling it? I'll just point out things you already know. The end of chapter 1, the main character Mirabelle fell asleep, and then chapter 2 is this kind of strange sequence that doesn't seem to be her world or her country or where she is at the moment, right? So maybe you can guess what chapter 2 is, but it will keep happening and you'll get confused. Hopefully you find that interesting, and it does come full circle at some point. Again, I don't want to spoil anything because that's the whole crux of the goddamn story. Was it cringe or creative? Chapter 2. I forgot that I named that character a name that I made up and had to remember how to pronounce, which is very annoying. Anyway, I think it's very creative, obviously, because it comes in hot with boom, it's not the main character anymore. But again, that kind of is clarified a bit further. Chapter 3. Yeah, what did you think? Cringe, creative? I will not hold it against you if it was cringe, because you might have zero clue what's going on. But stick with it and wait until it gets to the climax of the story, and yeah, then I want your take because it is going somewhere, even though it is confusing. And a third C word, I guess it is. Not cringe, not creative, but confusing. And I will take that at the moment. Anyway, your thoughts, leave them down below, or listen to the other parts of the series if you haven't yet. And yeah, chapter 3 coming soon.